Hi, this is Frode, and welcome to ActualizeNotes TV, where I deliver 5 great ideas from the book The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle. Subtitle, A Guide to Personal Success. It's a quick reading, inspiring book that's got the fundamentals for a great life. It is written by Jim Rohn, who was a business philosopher and spoke to over 6,000 audiences throughout the world. He basically spent his entire adult life teaching people how to create an extraordinary life for themselves. If you're into the basics of how you can develop yourself into a better human being, this book is for you. Let's have a preview of the 5 ideas. The sail. The major difference is not circumstances, but the way we choose to set our sails and take responsibility. The chain of self-discipline. Every discipline affects every other discipline, positively and negatively. Past plus present plus future. We want to use the past as a school, the present wisely, and we want to see our future clearly. Maximum potential. How far do you think a tree would grow? Answer? You'll get it in the 4th idea. The drift. When we drift unconsciously through life, we will suddenly fall on the rocks of the Niagara Falls, as we will see in the story. Let's start with the first big idea, the sail. Jim uses a great metaphor of life, that each of us are sailing in the individual ship of life. And we are all blown by the same winds of circumstance. For example, hardships, difficulties, or mistakes we make, or any other challenges we might face. But also, he wonders why we all start out of from the same point and with the same end in mind, which can be happiness or a success, and we are sailing on the same sea, but still we arrive at such different points in the end of our journey. And how can that be, he says? Well, it's not circumstance. As he says, the way each of us thinks makes the major difference in where each of us arrives. The major difference is not circumstance, but the set of the sail. In other words, we want to take 100% responsibility for our lives, the way we choose to set our sail, and not blame any other circumstances. Jack Canfield echoes the same wisdom in the Success Principles, where he says, there is only one person responsible for the quality of the life you live. That person is you. So how can you set a better sail if you are in some harsh circumstances right now, instead of blaming other people or events that have happened, or the situation you are in? How can you take responsibility for your life? The next big idea, the chain of self-discipline. Both you and I have a tendency to allow ourselves to continue an undisciplined act. For example, we might say, this is the only place where I allow myself to be weak. But really, it's not how it happens. Jim says that every undisciplined act tends to open the floodgates, leading to other breakdowns of in the chain of self-discipline. So, for example, you start overeating. That's a minus, which may start a chain that you feel so lethargic that you also stop exercising. And if you stop exercising, and if you stop exercising, you might also feel like doing a poor job at your work, because you feel even more lethargic, doing a poor job at work crushes your self-esteem, which might ruin your relationships. There you have a bad chain of self-discipline. But you also might choose to start exercising, which might lead you into wanting to improve in other areas too. For example, by reading, or starting meditating, or doing a better job at your work. So, in all, every discipline affects every other discipline. We need to choose wisely how we're going to do this. For example, when I chose to stop watching television shows, it became a lot easier for me to also eat healthier, because I ate a lot of unhealthy food while I was watching TV. And I'm really glad that I stopped doing that. Also, when I got much more free spare time, by not watching television, I can also read more, which I'm also happy about. So, my question for you is, what is one simple, positive discipline that you can start in your life right now to begin the chain of self-discipline. For example, just 10 pages of a book each day, 365 days a year, equals about 18 200-page books, or the like. And if those books are inspirational or instructional, they might affect every single area of your life. Think about that. 10 pages, that's just 10, 20 or 30 minutes each day. Everybody's got that time if they want to massively change their whole life. Chain of self-discipline. Next big idea. Past plus present plus future. Jim says that it's got a great quote about the past. Good to see it here. Yeah, one of the best ways to approach the past is to use it as a school. Not as a weapon. We don't want to beat ourselves up if we make mistakes or face challenges when we are striving toward our goals. No, we want to learn from our mistakes and use the lessons of our past so we can invest them in the future. Next, present. Right now, you are in control of one tick out of 86,400 ticks on the clock for every 24 hours. Think about that. That's a real blessing. 86,400 ticks. Now, the way you choose to spend those ticks can either be wise or unwise. Abraham Maslow says that everything you do is either registers in your subconscious mind to your credit, better self-esteem, or your discredit, worse self-esteem. Ralph Waldo Emerson says that every action is either a vice or a virtue, something bad or something good. Tom Rath in Eat, Move, Sleep says that every single thing you put into your mouth is either a net gain or a net loss. We want to spend this moment wisely and do everything that we possibly can right this moment in the best possible way. Next, the future. The attitude that you have about your future depends on your ability to see your future. Because if you don't know where you are going, how can you ever be excited to arrive? And one of the best ways to be excited and make the future clear is to write down your goals every single day and read them every night. That way you feed your mind and constantly know where you're going and you're working towards it. As Grant Cardone says in Be Obsessed or Be Average, eat, sleep and breathe your goals. Wake up and go to sleep with your goals. So if you're currently not writing down your goals every day, get on that. Use the past as a school, not as a weapon. Use the present wisely, this second right now, and see your future clearly. In your inner eye. Imagine it. Next big idea, maximum potential. I just love this idea. How tall do you think a tree would grow? 10 feet? 20 feet? 100 feet? The answer is, there's no possible way to know, because a tree would grow to its full potential. It would grow as tall as it possibly can. It won't just grow to half its potential size and say, I guess that will do. No, it will drive its roots as deep as possible into the ground, soak up as much nourishment as it can, grow as tall and as wide as nature will allow, just as if to grow so tall that it can look down on us and remind us of how much we could possibly become if we would only strive to do all that we could. But why is it that all life forms on the planet strive toward their maximum potential, except human beings, you and I? Well, Jim says it's because we have been given the freedom of choice because of our intellect. And he has a great quote to describe this. All too often we choose to do less than we could. We would rather relax under the shade of the growing tree than to emulate its struggle for greatness. But really, it's not a choice to do all that you possibly can. Abraham Maslow says, what one can be, one must be. He also talks about how when you ascend the hierarchy of needs and you satisfy your basic needs for belonging, shelter and food, you arrive at self-actualization on the top, which is right up here on the top of my logo. And yeah, then self-actualization becomes the fundamental need that you have. It's not something that would kind of sort of be something nice to do. It is a fundamental need, or else you'll be unhappy. He says, if you deliberately plan on being less than you're capable of being, then I warn you that you'll be unhappy for the rest of your life. I warn you. Those are some pretty serious words from a man who knows what he's talking about. So how can you actualize your potential so you can strive to your maximum potential? Just a bit more. Aspire to the treetops and heed Maslow's warning. Last big idea, the drift. One day, a man was sitting in his boat in the Niagara River. The waters were calm, and the sun shone brightly in the cloudless sky. It was a perfect and beautiful day. As the man baited his hook and cast it flying into the water, his mind began to drift, and time started ticking. But suddenly, reality kicked in. He realized the thundering sound around him and how his boat picked up speed. Suddenly, he saw that he had cast himself and his boat into the Niagara River. Just like this. And he didn't have any oars, and he didn't have any motor. If only he had that, he could have saved his life. But because of his drifting mind, he couldn't. He thought about it, if only he had noticed sooner. And he started thinking about, as he fell down that fall, if only he had been given a second chance, what he would do differently. But unfortunately, time simply ran out for him. And this man, because he let his mind drift, went unconsciously through life and experienced the circumstances that he didn't design himself. He didn't design his own future because he just drifted. He continued his undisciplined habits and did just enough to survive what his thought was necessary, never striving to his maximum potential, before he eventually got crushed on the rocks of life. If this story resonated well with you, it's time for two of the most powerful questions you can ever answer. 1. What is the number one thing you need to stop doing that would have the most positive influence on your life? Next, what is the number one thing you need to start doing that would have the most positive influence on your life? Get clear on that as you acknowledge the drift. Maximum potential. How far do you think a tree would grow? As tall as it possibly can. Past plus present plus future. We need to use our past as a school, not as a weapon. We need to use our present wisely, and we want to see our future clearly, so we have something dragging us towards it. The chain of self-discipline. Each discipline affects every other discipline, positively and negatively. The sail. The major difference in where our lives turn out is not the circumstances or the blowing winds of circumstances, but the way we choose to set our sail and take responsibility for our lives. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to sharing more wisdom with you soon, and I trust that you continue to actualize your potential. Have an awesome day. See ya.